Today, their fortunes are gone. Entire dynasties reduced to selling estates, auctioning heirlooms, and even working normal jobs to survive. Some lost everything to conflict, others to betrayal, bad investments, or just the pressure of modern life. A few still wear the titles, but not the wealth that once came with it. So how do you go from ruling empires to barely holding on to the crown? These are 12 royal families who lost it all. At number 12, we have the Russian House of Romanov. At its peak, they were the richest family in the world. Tsar Nicholas II, Russia's last emperor, commanded a fortune estimated at around 55 billion in today's money by 1914, an almost unimaginable hoard of palaces, jewels, gold, and land. The Romanovs owned over 60 imperial palaces, including the Winter Palace at St. Petersburg and the sprawling Peterhof estate. The regalia included jewelry-encrusted Fabergé eggs, as Nicholas commissioned 2,000 objet d'art for the dynasty's 300th anniversary in 1913. The imperial treasury was overflowing with gold and diamonds valued at around $55 billion. However, the events of 1917 shattered the Romanovs' wealth and power. According to Love Money, Nicholas II abdicated amid military defeats and civil unrest, leading to the end of 3 centuries of Romanov rule in 1918. The new Soviet government confiscated all imperial properties, palaces, art, collectibles, jewels, and Russia's now vast gold reserves. The scale of loss was huge and estimated at 55 billion in Romanov wealth, wiped out virtually overnight. Currently, the Grand Duchess Maria Vladimirovna of Russia is the disputed head of the Romanov house. She lives in Madrid and occasionally in Russia, active and monarchist, charitable and cultural affairs, but lives a modest life. The estimated current net worth of the family is likely under 30 million, which shows how huge the loss was. At number 11, we have the German House of Hohenzollern. The House of Hohenzollern ruled Prussia and the German Empire until the monarchy's collapse in 1918. Kaiser William II and his family held immense wealth derived from Prussia's royal domains, which included around 70 properties, such as palaces, castles, estates, and priceless art collections. The Hohenzollerns enjoyed state-funded luxury at residences like the New Palace in Potsdam, Berlin City Palace, and Königsberg Castle, along with various hunting lodges scattered throughout their kingdom. By the 1910s, the Kaiser's holdings and crown property made him one of Europe's richest monarchs, with an estimated net worth individually of 2.8 billion gold marks. However, everything changed with Germany's defeat in 1918. In November 1918, amid military mutiny and revolution, Kaiser William II was asked to abdicate and left for the Netherlands. The incoming democratic government quickly expropriated the imperial family's properties. According to DW News, as a result, the bulk of the Hohenzollern fortune, palatial homes, and centuries worth of treasures became state property almost overnight. Currently, George Frederick, Prince of Prussia, is the head of the former Prussian branch of the House of Hohenzollern. He pursues restitution claims for former family palaces and art, though several lawsuits have been dropped or dismissed. Public and foreign estimates place the family's current fortune, including castles, land, businesses, art, and investments, at around $12 to $15 million today. Next, we have the Austro-Hungarian House of Habsburg. The House of Habsburg, one of Europe's most illustrious dynasties, accumulated remarkable wealth over centuries as emperors of Austria and kings of Hungary, Bohemia, and beyond. But by the early 20th century, Emperor Franz Joseph I and later Emperor Karl I ruled over an expensive empire filled with numerous palaces, extensive landholdings, and the world-renowned imperial art collection they were famous for. According to Habsburg, the family's wealth included aulic assets, official properties, and treasures of the monarchy, as well as substantial private wealth. They possessed crown jewels, regalia, and a family support fund valued in the millions of florins. In short, the Habsburg were immensely wealthy landowners and collectors, functioning as near absolute monarchs with vast imperial resources at their disposal. However, all this wealth vanished with the collapse of the Austrian-Hungary Empire in 1918. The new Republic government in Vienna quickly enacted the Habsburg Law on April 3, 1919, which dethroned the Habsburgs, banishing all family members from Austria and confiscating their properties, of course. This law resulted in the seizure of all assets in the dynasty by the state, including imperial palaces like Schönbrunn and the Hofburg, the court library, the Spanish riding school, and the family's art collection and archives. The estimated loss of wealth was around 25 billion. Currently, Karl von Habsburg is the head of the House of Habsburg who reign, with an estimated net worth himself of $100 million today. The next three history? One dynasty collapsed because people demanded change. Another lost everything without a fight. And the last, they vanished almost overnight. At number 9, we have the Italian House of Savoy. The House of Savoy reigned in Italy since the country's unification in 1861, but saw its wealth and status decline in the mid-20th century. King Victor Emmanuel II and his son, King Umberto II, were the last two monarchs in the Savoy family. Before Italy became a republic, the Savoy family enjoyed numerous royal residences, including the Coronal Palace in Rome, and grand estates like the Roccanigi Castle and the Hunting Lodge, Stupanigi in Piedmont. They possessed the crown jewels of Italy, a spectacular collection of diamonds and pearls amassed over generations by queens. The Savoy crown jewel collection reportedly included over 6,700 diamonds and 2,000 pearls, set in tiaras, necklaces, and brooches. All of this changed when Italy abolished the monarchy June 1946. According to Business Insider, a referendum held June 2, 1946, resulted in 54% of Italians voting in favor of establishing a republic, thus ending Savoy rule. The new Italian constitution not only exiled the male members of the Savoy family, but also nationalized much of their property. The estimated loss of wealth was around 335 million, excluding the royal palaces. Currently, Prince Emmanuel Filiberto of Savoy, Prince of Venice, is the disputed head of the House of Savoy. The family's current net worth is commonly estimated at 100 million by multiple sources in today's standards. Next, we have the Greek House of Glücksburg. The Greek branch of the House of Glücksburg ruled Greece from 1863 until the monarchy's final abolition in 1973. During their reign, the Greek royal family accumulated considerable assets, as you can imagine, including multiple palaces and estates. Their primary residence was the Old Royal Palace in Athens, and later the New Royal Palace outside Athens, serving as their country retreat. Tatoi Palace, a 10,000-acre wooded estate on Mount Parnitha, was especially cherished. It included a grand mansion, farms, and even the royal family's burial ground. By the mid-20th century, King Constantine II and his family also owned the summer palace of Monrepos in Corfu and other properties. The total value of the Greek royals' land and palaces ran into the tens of millions of dollars. The monarchy's downfall came in stages. King Constantine II was deposed in 1967, and in 1973, Greek officially abolished the monarchy. In 1974, after democracy was restored, a referendum confirmed the monarchy's permanent abolition. The Greek state then moved to seize royal properties. In 1994, the government stripped Constantine II of his citizenship and passed a law expropriating all remaining royal properties. The estimated value of the net loss was 500 million. Although titles are not recognized in Greece, Pavlos, who is the current head of the house, uses the style of crown prince. He takes care of the $3 billion of wealth today. At number 7, we have the Bulgarian House of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha. The Bulgarian Royal Family, a branch of the German Saxe-Coburg Gotha dynasty, reigned from 1887 until the abolition of the monarchy in 1946. Caesar Ferdinand I and later his son Caesar Boris III possessed considerable royal assets in Bulgaria. These included multiple palaces, including the palace near Sofia, the UC Novgorod Palace in the Black Sea coast, and the hunting lodges in the Rila Mountain. The Bulgarian crown also encompassed thousands of hectares of forest and farmlands, and all that provided income to the royal house. According to Novinite, by the 1930s, the royal family's properties formed a substantial estate. One inventory counted around 9 royal residences and over 16,000 hectares of forested land, which was approximately 4,100 acres under royal ownership. However, in 1946, a Soviet-backed government held a referendum that abolished the monarchy, and the royal family was asked to leave Bulgaria. The new regime promptly confiscated all royal properties via 1947 law that declared the monarchy's assets state property. Royal palaces, like Verona, Zarkea, Bistrita, and others, were all nationalized, as they say. The estimated wealth loss was around 18 billion for this family. Now, Simeon Saxe-Coburg Gotha is the current head of the house that restored some properties after his return to Bulgaria. The current net worth of the family is estimated at 7.5 million, which explains a lot of the amount in terms of the wealth the family has suffered. Now, it gets worse. One royal family crumbled under foreign pressure, another was stripped by their own allies, and one lost billions for the strangest reason. Let's get into it. Next, we have the Serbian house of Cardo Davik. The Cardo Davik dynasty ruled the Kingdom of Serbia from 1903 to 1945, and later the Kingdom of Yugoslavia from 1918 to 1945. King Peter I and King Alexander II and King Peter II enjoyed a lifestyle befitting Balkan royalty. They owned numerous royal properties across what is now Serbia, Bosnia, Montenegro, including the White Palace in Belgrade, a luxurious compound that sat on 330 acres of land all on its own of parkland. These two palaces in Belgrade were opulent residences filled with fine art, furniture, and state gifts. In addition, as the Yugoslav monarchs, they presumably controlled the crown jewels and regalia and received a civil list. By the 1930s, the family's wealth was significant, though not on the scale of older European dynasties, but well on its way. Much of their wealth was tied up in these official residences and regalia. According to Deseret, the royal family's fortune collapsed in 1945 when Yugoslavia became a republic under Tito. In 1947, a law was passed in new Yugoslavia that confiscated all property of the family. Monarchy's palaces and lands were nationalized without compensation. The estimated wealth lost was around $2 billion. Now, Crown Prince Alexander of Serbia is the head of the House of Cardo Davik and the pretender to the defunct Yugoslav and Serbian throne. Although there is no formal estimate for this family, the estimated current net worth is $150 million. At number 5, we have the Romanian House Hohenzollern Sigmaringen. The Romanian branch of the Hohenzollern dynasty reigned from 1866 until 1947. In the late 19th and early 20th century, King Carl I, King Ferdinand, and King Carl II enjoyed considerable royal wealth in Romania, including multiple palaces and estates. The crown's flagship property was Pele Castle, an exquisite neo-Renaissance palace in the Carpathian Mountains. Built by Carl I, Pele was filled with fine art, armor, and treasures. It was among the most beautiful royal residences in Europe. Queen Marie famously owned a lavish collection of jewelry. By the 1940s, King Michael I presided over the royal fortune, comprising of several castles, urban palaces, and an array of jewels and furnishings, likely worth tens of millions in contemporary dollars. However, December 30th, 1947, King Michael I was forced to abdicate under pressure from Soviet-backed government, and Romania was declared the People's Republic. According to referral, in early 1948, the new regime confiscated all the properties of the royal houses under the broad nationalization program. Pele Castle, Palaiseau Castle, and other royal residences were seized at the time by the state. The estimated wealth lost was $2 million just in this alone. Now, Margareta, custodian of the Romanian crown, is the head of the family. She's been styled as custodian, not queen. The current net worth of the family is a meager $65 million. Next, we have the French House of Bourbon. The ruling dynasty of France for much of the 16th to 18th centuries experienced one of history's most famous reversals of fortune during the French Revolution. At the height of their power under King Louis XIV and later King Louis XVI, the French Bourbons embodied almost unimaginable wealth and splendor at the time, a reputation to follow. The crown's wealth was effectively the wealth of France itself. The Palace of Versailles, with its hall of mirrors dripping in gold and crystal, was the ultimate symbol of royal extravagance. The Bourbons controlled scores of chateaux throughout France, from the grand palaces of Fontainebleau and Compiègne, and all the way to luxurious smaller estates. Collections of paintings and tapestries and furniture accumulated over centuries. The list goes on. In the 1780s, on the eve of the tumultuous event, the French monarchy was spending enormous sums on court life. Queen Marie Antoinette alone had an annual budget in hundreds of thousands for her wardrobe and personal indulgences. The French Revolution then came along and utterly destroyed this wealth. The governments enacted laws to confiscate all royal properties as national property. The estimated loss was a humongous $280 billion here. And now Louis XX is the pretender to the defunct French throne and head of the senior Bourbon line, with a meager $55 million as net worth, which explains the loss. At number 3, we have the Portuguese House of Braganza. The House of Braganza ruled Portugal from 1640 until 1910, a huge stretch of time. By the early 20th century, the Braganza, specifically King Carlos I and then his son King Manuel II, had the royal lifestyle supported by significant, though not unlimited, wealth. The Portuguese royal family owned or used several palaces, including the Aljuda Palace in Lisbon, the Necessidade Palace, and the Penna Palace in Sintra. The crown jewels of Portugal, including the dazzling diamonds like the Braganza diamond and various gem-encrusted insignia, were part of the monarchy's wealth, and as it was famed in a collection of artworks and estimated royal library. However, the 1910 event abolished the monarchy and established the Portuguese First Republic. According to Royal Central, the 20-year-old Manuel II, along with the Queen Mother Emily, escaped via the royal yacht to Gibraltar and then into exile in England. The new Portuguese Republic confiscated the vast majority of the royal assets. The crown jewels and royal treasury were seized and secured by Republican authorities. Virtually all other royal palaces, estates, and furnishings became state property under laws passed in 1910 to 1911 to eliminate royal privileges. The total estimated wealth lost after 1910 was $570 million, with no right to reclaim properties. Duarte Pio, Duke of Braganza, is the head of the royal family and pretended to the defunct Portuguese throne, with a modest net worth of $100 million today. Next, we have Montenegro's house, Petrovic Nagosh. The Petrovic Nagosh dynasty ruled the tiny Balkan kingdom of Montenegro from 1696 until 1918. Prince Nikola I Petrovic Petrovic Nagosh, who reigned as Montenegro's first and only king from 1910 to 1918, oversaw a relatively small, modestly resourced kingdom. Yet even this small royal house had its share of estates and valuables. King Nicola I had several residences in Montenegro, the most notable being the Royal Palace of Centenary and the winter residence in Podgorica. In 1918, Montenegro's political situation changed drastically. King Nicola left for Italy in 1915 when Austria-Hungary invaded. He eventually went to France. In his absence in 1918, the newly formed Kingdom of Serbs, Croats, and Slovs annexed Montenegro, effectively deposing King Nicola. A controversial assembly in November 1918 voted to unite Montenegro with Serbia under the Serbian Cardo Davik dynasty, thus removing the Petrovic dynasty from any power. Following the union, the properties of Petrovic Nagosh were seized by the new authorities. Accordingly, they were all taken by the state or distributed to Serbian officials, estimating $100 million. Now, Nicholas, Prince of Montenegro, is the head of the house and in 2011 officially was recognized by Montenegro's parliament to promote Montenegrin identity and culture. The family's wealth appears at around $40.3 million and is tied to publicly supported cultural duties rather than substantial private assets. And at number 1, we have the Albanian House of Zog. The House of Zog is unique in this case, not a centuries-old dynasty, but a royal house founded by King Zog I of the Albanians, who declared himself monarch in 1928. Zog's reign was short but eventful, and so the fate of his fortune was as well. King Zog I came from a wealthy landowning family. The Albanian state under Zog was not rich. Albania was one of Europe's poorest countries, but Zog did secure some riches, partly via foreign loans and Italian subsidies. According to Politico, by 1939, Zog's government had about 1.6 million gold francs in treasury reserves, and Zog himself was likely in the personal caches of gold as well. All this collapsed by April 1939 when Italy invaded Albania. King Zog I, expecting the threat, made contingency plans. On April 7, 1939, an Italian troop landed. Zog left Tirana. The total wealth loss was roughly 30 million equivalent. Now, Prince Liga II of Albania is the head of the House of Zog, succeeding his father, Crown Prince Lika. While Albania's monarchy was abolished in 1939, Prince Zika holds a ceremonial role and occasionally serves in diplomatic and cultural capabilities today. The current net worth of the family is $20 million. With this, we end today's video. We'll be back with a new video shortly. Until then, happy watching and do subscribe to our channel if you still haven't.